Ibi máa kó bóyàwó àwọn tí wọ́n wá kó tó dé àjázà ó kàdára bá wa.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Please confirm if you can hear me, please. All right. Let me check if I can hear you too. So,
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
all
We can hear you.
right.
Well done,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
How is work today?
Thank God. And yours?
Yeah, thank God. Yes, sir.
All right. I just want to find out if you can hear me and I can hear you too. So, let us just wait for like 5 minutes more to wait for people that want to join later. So, can use that time to just relax ourselves and prepare for the class while we are waiting for the rest. All right. So I think significant number of people have joined the class. So let us begin. Uh, Let us begin from where we stop. Um, So today we'll be proceeding to chapter 13, which is internal audits and outsourcing. So this chapter is not too common. I think just 2 or 3 times we tested from this chapter. I remember when I was writing in 2022. So this question came out from this chapter of internal audit and outsourcing. And you need to be very, very attentive, because if this kind of if question come out from this chapter, it's definitely going to be from section C, which is 15 mark. And we'll find it interesting and useful for us, because just imagine they're asking you what is internal audit and function of internal audit. Or they ask you what is outsourcing, advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing. Uh, or they can just ask the advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing. 15 marks. So these are some area that we can get our marks together and just leave advanced audit and assurance for them. So today we'll continue from where we stopped. Last week we talked about was it not assurance services or assurance engagement. We were able to discuss extensively. I remember under that we discussed PFI, prospective financial information. So today we want to talk about internal audit and outsourcing. Today's chapter is not much. So by God grace, upper week. So next week, Tuesday and Friday, we'll use it for chapter 14, which is on audit reports. Perhaps is the is the most comprehensive chapter in advanced audit and assurance. So we should be expecting question from that aspect. So we use two sessions, which is Wednesday and Friday. So by upper week, we'll finish our class. So since we have 16 chapters, so I'm trying. I don't know. During our vision class, I will try and bring 16. I will try and solve 16 questions that will cover each of the chapters. I will try. I'm still working on it. It's not easy coupled with the time and also my own time to read. And so it's not easy. I will try. But I'm not promising anybody that I'm going to cover the whole chapter in the revision class. But I'm going to try. I've started working on some now. I think I'm on question 5 or so. So that will touch each of the chapters. So I will try. But nevertheless, let us proceed and see what we can do today. So by upper week, we'll finish our syllabus. And see, it is easy like this. We just come to the class and I explain to you, you understand, everybody clap, everybody is happy. But it will take another turn in the exam phase, because the way they will ask question on all this chapter will be different. So we need to be attentive. Everybody, we got to be on our toes, and everybody has to it's for your own good though. You have to be in that revision class for your own good. Some people see audit and assurance as is it not just written. I can read. Yes, like me that time too. But everybody is not privileged for that kind of this thing. So for your own good to be on safe side, please I will implore everybody to be at that revision class. And the money might not be much. This time it might be 10,000. They might ask you to pay 10,000. It might still be 5,000 as the case may be before. But in all honesty, we need to brace up ourselves, especially this advanced audit and assurance. It's not going to be business as usual. For the fact that they just say syllabus now. So everybody will have to be on our toes. So that's by the way, but it cannot shank us. We are going to deal with that advanced audit and assurance. So let us go. Today we want to talk about internal audit and outsourcing. Like I used to do before we dive into the chapter very well. I'm going to give us the chapter review, what we need to know. Like I said, this chapter is one of the shortest chapter actually. So what we need to do is to know what it is that thing that is called internal audit. In some settings, you can call it internal control, but it is kind of different in another settings. So internal control is like a compliance. So can see it as internal audit. But either it is internal control and internal audit. What is the meaning of internal audit, internal control? Then what are the functions of internal control or internal audit as the case may be? So what is the difference, the comparison between the internal audit and external audit? Then we will now move to circumstances that can make an auditor to rely on the work of internal auditor. Then we'll also visit what we understand by outsourcing. So just for staff outside instead of core staff of the organization. And what are the engagements that can comes under outsourcing? What are the advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing? So that is what we want to talk about today. Let us sit back and enjoy the class. My name is Olatunji Idris. So let us proceed. Please confirm if you can hear me, please, everybody. Please confirm if you can hear me, please, with your emoji. All right. So, but before, okay, so let us go. So the chapter is internal audit and outsourcing, as we said. Then the content is we shall be looking at the nature and development of internal auditing, the type of internal auditing, outsourcing. Then we go straight to the chapter review. So the competency and everything in there. But for the case of exam, after the read of this chapter, what are we expected to do? We should be able to do the following. One, describe the function of internal audit and differentiate between the internal and external audits. That's one. Two, should be able to explain the difference between financial, operational, and compliance audits. Four, three, should be able to discuss which function may be outsourced and the relative advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing. Then, also, we also need to explain the audit considerations by ISA 402, which states on relating to entity using service organization and the nature. Then we are also going to look at type 1 and type 2 results reports are also including International Standard on Assurance Engagement 3402. So that is that about what we should be able to do after going through this chapter. But before that, I will just say was five just three people. Three people. What do you understand by internal audit? It's not new to us. I'm sure either we are an accounting student or not. If you're an accountant, you must have been taught within your undergraduate and this is not the first time you are hearing about internal audit, then if you are not an accounting student, definitely you pass through foundation or skills as the case may be. You must be definitely they must have taught you in your skills what is understand by internal audit. So let me start from Juliet. So that's okay. Three people is enough. I have Juliet, I have Isiaq, I have Ebere. So Juliet, you have the floor. What is internal audit?
Okay, good evening, everyone. Internal audit is the independent overview of
That
the
place,
company's
oh, hold on,
accounts
hold
by.
on. That place is very, very noisy. Hold on. That place is very, very noisy. Can you please tell your students to keep quiet for a while, or you leave that place first?
Okay, let me leave here. Sorry.
Okay. Okay.
I think my environment is noisy. Is it calm a bit?
Kind of. Yes, you can go on.
Okay, an internal audit is an independent examination by the company staff, and they ensure that they are achieving the objectives of the financial report and minimizing risks of the financial report. So an internal auditor is a staff. An internal audit is done by the staff of the company. Thank you.
So what is now internal control? What do you understand by
Okay,
internal control?
internal control system is that's ICS, Abi.
Internal control. Anyway, you can put it depends on the organization. You can call it internal control system, you can call it internal control. Just want to know what's
Okay, internal control is the process by which the board puts in place a an organized setting whereby the financial report or I'm trying to put the words together. It's a system whereby the staff of the company are being put together to organize the accounts of the company before it gets to the external auditor.
Yeah, so you we agree with you with that internal audit. But this internal control is just one single word that is missing there. So you cannot relate it like that. Because if you are talking about internal control, it's actually more than being or working in an accounts department or finance department. So it goes to every other department. So, but thank you for your contribution, Miss Juliet.
Thank you,
So
sir.
let us hear from Ebere. Ebere Oma, what do you understand by internal audit and internal control? My screen cannot be blank. My screen cannot be blank. Maybe it's your network. Can you see my screen, everybody, please?
No, sir.
My screen, you cannot see my screen.
I can see it now.
So some people are saying the screen is blank. Okay, so Ebere, please you have the floor.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Mm.
What I understand internal audits can be defined as whereby the company or firm has auditors, have their own auditors that that run audits that run audits work for the company before it is being given to the management, and then the management sourcing for external auditors to check what the internal auditors have in the company.
Hmm.
Can you
Ebere, I will disagree with your definition. You are not linking it together. It's totally out of line. Can you please put it together? Maybe let's just hear from another person. Then you can now see or put your own together. I'll say come back to you. But the way you put it together is totally not it's not it's not acceptable. That's not definition of internal audit. So you how we should probably start from accounts department, like account department. It is not being to put audit together before. So their operation is more than that. But let's hear from another person. I will still come back to you. Probably by then you'll have put everything together. Is that okay? Ebere, is that okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you today, please, you have the floor. Internal audit and
All right, sir. All right,
and
sir. Can
internal
you hear me,
control.
sir? Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, go on. Can hear you.
Yeah,
Yes, loud and clear.
internal audit is an appraisal system. It's an appraisal system established by management for review of accounting and internal control system as a service to the entity.
Oh, okay. See, this thing is very, very elusive and impressive. I love the way you started. You said an independent appraiser established by the what? By the management of an organization. Can I please repeat the definitions again?
As you say it again. Hello?
Yes.
It's an appraisal system
Yes, go on.
established by management.
Independent appraiser. It cannot just be an appraiser only.
Okay, it's an
Independent, they have
independent
to be
appraisal
on their
system.
own. They should. Okay.
It's
Maybe
an
you not even
independent
put
appraisal
independent
system
before and okay, go on.
established by management for the review of accounts and internal control system as a service to the entity.
All right. Okay, that's fine. So what is now internal control? What is now internal control? Yetunde has disappeared though. What is now internal control? All right, he's not there. Please, Daniel, you can put down your hand and please put down your hand. I said I just need 3 people to answer this question now. 3 is okay for now. So, Ebere, let me hear you again. Maybe you must have put everything together. Ebere, you have the floor.
Okay. So internal audits, we can say that internal audits can be defined as um an independent work done by the company's internal auditors for the
Mm-mm. It is
of
that internal auditor that is nullifying it to be wrong. It is that internal auditor that is nullifying it to be wrong. Okay, let's do it like this. Yetunde said internal audit can be defined as an independent appraiser. Independent appraiser established by the management of an organization or designed to add value and improve organization's operation. That is internal audit. It's not that they are doing auditing, no. An independent appraiser that is designed to add value and improve organization's operation. So you can put it in that simple word. But to now put internal audit to help the internal audit or to help in auditing of internally, it's actually I hope you understand what I'm saying.
yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, I'm
All
with
right.
you. Okay.
Okay. So in order not to waste our time, okay, yeah, go on. Let me see if we can put it together like that. But if you can't, maybe we'll just help you out.
Okay, we can
I'm
say
listening to you.
that internal audit is can be defined as an objective assurance and consulting activities carried out within an organization, most likely to make sure that the operations are running properly.
Okay. Yes, that was better. But if you are, yes, that's better. But you're actually defining
Internal
in terms not to waste much of our time. What is internal audit? and what is internal control, and at what stage we can use the two together. Because in some organization they use internal control department, while some use internal audit. But in internal control, it actually goes beyond working as finance person or working in relation to finance department. Internal control is to ensure compliance in all the departments. You make sure that the HR department is doing what it's supposed to do. The tax department is there on their toes. The security department, exact compliance in the whole organization. That everybody is doing what they're supposed to do. So then it also talks about the finance department also, that what finance department is supposed to do in their own department to ensure that they are doing fine and they contribute to organization's progress. That is what internal control is all about. So make sure that every department are working efficiently and effectively to enhance organization's operations. I hope everybody is listening. So you can define internal control like that. But however, internal audit, like Yetunde said, it depends on your understanding. So like I am as I am now, I can give you about 2-3 definition of internal audit based on my understanding. So I can say internal audit, as Yetunde said, an independent appraiser established by the management of an organization to add value to the operational activities of an organization. It can go like that. You can also put that it can be defined as an independent appraiser, comma, objective assurance, and consulting activities. Because as you must be independent, then you have objective for giving assurance to the organization, and you also have consulting a mindset that you need to find out what individual is doing in their own way. Consulting activities designed to add value and improve organization's operations. You can put it like that. You can also put it that it helps is an independent appraiser that helps the organization to achieve its objective by bringing systematic, disciplined approach, evaluation, and improve effective risk management, control, and also governance processes. I will repeat that one again. I said you can also put it as an independent appraiser that is established to help an organization accomplish its objective by what? By bringing systematic, disciplined approach, evaluate, and improve effectiveness of risk management, control of risk management, and also governance process. You see, this thing has also captured the understanding to internal control. Like it actually link the meaning is that if if we have two organizations, A and B, if A is using internal audit and B name their own internal control, this last definition actually link the meaning of internal audit to internal control. So if you are in organization B, meaning that this last definition can work for you. If you are in A, this last definition can work for you. I will say it again. I said it's an independent appraiser established by the management of an organization to help what? The organization accomplish its objective by what? By bringing systematic, one, discipline approach to evaluate, three, and also improve the effectiveness of risk management, comma, after improve the effectiveness of risk management, then you control and also to govern the processes of the organization. That is the last definition. Then I said before this definition that it's an independent appraiser established by the management of an organization to achieve what? To achieve the organizational goals. Or you can also put it as an independent appraiser, one, objective assurance and consulting activities designed to add value and to improve the organization's operations. It depends. I can give you more than 4 5. It's my understanding what that internal audit. So you just emphasize that, oh, in my department we have internal audit or internal control. What are they doing there? In some organizations, internal control, they are like police because they'll be checking everywhere to make sure that everybody is in order. Everybody puts things in order. Like if if you're not doing what's supposed to do or you late to the office, some organization lateness attract fine, maybe 5,000 or so. So if you are late, login book, you write your name, and at the end of the month like this, it is that internal control that will now now particular person came late on so day, so this amount has to be deducted from his or her salary. That is another internal control in some organization. Please, I hope everybody you understand the way I just put the three definitions together and the way you can link it together in accordance with the settings in the organization. Internal audit is no more than that, no more, no less. Can I say it? Can I say the definitions again? Nobody's responding to me. Abi, what's going on? Have I
Yes,
been
repeat
talking
the
to
third one,
myself?
sir. Repeat the third one, sir.
Let me say, let me say it again. So that you know, say, maybe our guy is even Olodo said, maybe you don't know me. Let me take from that one. We can say yesterday is she gave us perfect definition. So let us now see it another way that internal audits can be defined as an independent appraiser, comma, objective assurance and consulting activities designed to what? To add value to the operational activities or to improve organizational activities. That is internal audit. And that is one. Then again, you can also put that internal audit can be defined as an independent appraiser established by the management of an organization to help the organization accomplish its objective by bringing a systematic, comma, disciplined approach, comma, evaluation, comma, and improve effectiveness of risk management, comma, control, and governance processes in order to achieve the organization's objective. That is what we understand by what? By internal audit or internal control, as the case may be. Please, can I proceed? Please, everybody. Please let me see your emoji if you are following the class. All right. So let's now go to what we now have. So if you now understand that, yes, see the simplest one. Okay. Another one that internal audit can be defined as an appraisal system established by management for the review of accounting and internal control system. Do you know the reason why I put internal control system here? I said for the review of accounting and internal control system. Here, this definition now says that if you if your organization name is Department Internal Audit, it means that they are doing this function. Or they are also doing function of internal control. And if your organization name is on internal control, it means that they are also doing the function of what? Of reviewing the accounting system, which is what? Which is the finance department. So some used to combine it together. You see, finance department and internal control, or finance department and internal audit, or audit and internal, or audit and account department. They used to put them together like that. But either they put it like that or they put it separately. Internal audit can be defined as the following that we discussed before. Then it's also an independent appraiser established by the management for the review of accounting and internal control system as a service to the entity. However, internal audit is a separate branch of accounting profession. Please let me see your emoji, please, so that I can proceed. Are we following everybody? Are we okay? Can I proceed, please? All right. Yes, so I think we understand the meaning of internal audit. So what is now their functions? Who can tell me the function of internal audit? Just two people. And I don't want people that have raised up their hand before. What are the functions? From this definition, you should be able to gather like 3 or 4 functions. So without even checking the summarized note that you have with you. Now that's why that is the way I used to learn, because I gave us like 3 definitions now. So from there, you should be able to get the functions of the internal audit. So who can tell us the function of internal audit? Fast, please. We don't have time too much. So after this time now, I will. So Faith, you have the floor.
Yes, sir.
Faith, you have the floor. Faith, not Okechukwu. Is Faith that raise up her hand first, then followed by Dada Agnes.
Okay, from the definition that the internal audit is an independent. So one of the function is that is an independent. Being an
No,
independent,
it that's not the function. How does independent now factor into being an internal audit? Well, if you can explain, let's say your explanation, maybe
it must
critically,
be independent of activity.
but that's not their function. You are only telling us that they are not uh, uh, they are independent, like this, that is nobody can influence their decision. Whatever they say is final. That is independent. How does that independent factors as their function?
Okay, they can be
So
risk
that
management.
independence, risk management. Okay, in what way?
That they help the company in this in significant way to identify and manage risk.
Now you are talking, but that independence is completely out of it. Now, better way to put it, they help they perform what they also assess and manage risk. You can put it like that. Assess and manage risk. If you now want to explain, you can say that it helps the department that also help to assess and manage organization risk. That is fine. Do you
Okay,
understand? Please don't put independent in the exam. Oh. It's wrong. Oh. All right. Thank
okay,
you,
they
Faith.
also
Please you can put
control.
down your hand.
Another function is
Um,
control.
Control. Okay, control in what sense? Yes.
In
Control
the
in
sense
what
that
sense?
they help organization to put policy that help the organization to be in order and make the operation to be effective and efficient.
Build beautiful and excellent. Yes, you are not talking, but that objective self. In fact, how wish I see you say I'll just remove that independent from your mouth. I'll delete it. Now you have given me full solid function now. And that is best way to you see that without saying it now, you actually pick all these things from what? From the what? From the definitions
Definitions.
rather. So Faith, you can mute your mic again.
Okay, the
Others,
help
please,
in monitor
let's put down our hand.
the help in monitoring of
Okay, Chukwu
internal
and
control set aside by the management. The- I
and
said the internal audits,
the
the
rest.
help in monitoring of internal control set aside by the management. As the internal audit department is also part of the management, so any internal controls that are being
Okay.
set by the
How?
government by
How did they FDA?
by the firm to manage it. Okay, these internal controls they are being set so that way they help them to assess and to be sure that the staff, as in the audit member, they follow all the processes and procedures laid down to in the process of the auditing of the audit engagement. Hello, hello.
So what? Yes,
Okay.
you actually explained, but
Yes,
what
I can
is
hear
now
you now.
Can you hear me? Can you? So your point is okay, and your explanation is okay, but towards ending, you were not linking the purpose of that their functions to the objective. That is, after everything, they are there after monitoring the internal control. They are there to also assist after putting everything together to monitor the operation in order to achieve what the organization's objective. So
Okay.
that is the aspect that is lacking in that your explanation. So
Oh,
please try to fix it together. So that is better way to put some point together instead of just putting it as it is like that. It might be wrong in the context of the exam. So let us go. So thank you. You can put down your hand. Everybody, please put down your hand. I said I only need two people from the beginning when I want to ask the question. So thank you, Faith. You can put down your hand. So let us go. Now, what are the functions? Number one, monitoring of internal control. That is, the internal audit has the specific responsibility for reviewing controls in an organization, monitoring its operation, and also recommend to what to the management on management improvement necessary in the what in the organization. They monitor internal control by what by reviewing the control in the organization. They monitor the operation and also recommend any area for improvement to the management where necessary. So number two, reviewing and monitoring compliance. That one nobody said this out of the two people. Internal audit has the responsibility of checking the compliance level in the entity. It checks the compliance level of certain laws, regulations, and other external requirements of management policy and the directive. It means that this one talks about that internal audit also review and monitoring compliance. They ensure that organization objective, the rules and regulation that is being laid down by the organization are adhered to, the laws and regulation that guide the organization's policies, and the external requirements for management policies are being adhered to by each member of the staff, or each member each member of staff in the organization. So internal audit also review and monitor compliance to make sure that everybody are in compliance with relevant laws and regulation that guides the industry the organization are being operated in. So that is another function. Number three, they review value for money. As I said this in the last class, value for money can be on economy, on efficiency, and effectiveness. Economy is how you are using the organization resources. Effectiveness is effectiveness is the way you are using the organization's objective, while efficiency is how you are able to turn that resources to multiple fold to produce more output. That is, the company will give you resources. Resources is, oh, I injected 1 million in this in the business. So that is value for money. Now economy now shows that how can we spend this money very well so that it's going to bring more money, or it's going to increase our output in the organization. That's for economy. Then efficiency, that how best can we put this money into use to increase profit for the what for the management or the shareholder of the organization. And effectiveness is how best can we put this money into use to make sure into use, in the sense that we are not either underspending or overspending, or we are doing what we're supposed to do to make that output what to increase. So they also view value for money. So value for money can be on economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. So what does this say here? Internal auditor also check the non-financial area of organization. It assess the efficiency, economy, and effectiveness of the operation. This is to ensure that there is value for every money spent by the what by the organization. Then that is also function of internal audit. Please, everybody, are you following? Can I proceed, please? All right.
Please,
Lastly, about the function.
the last function that
Yes.
you just now, please, can you come again?
Okay. I said they review value for money. And when we are talking about value for money, we are talking about efficiency, economy, and effectiveness. What is efficiency? That value for money, it means that the resources that the shareholder puts in the organization, what is that resources? It is the money they inject into the business. How are we using that money? That is value for money. And we can check the way they are using the organization resources in three ways: the efficiency, economy, and effectiveness. Efficiency means that how can we use these resources to increase the profit for the what for the shareholder, or how can we use these resources to maximize profit and also increase output. That is efficiency. Economy, that how wise can we spend this money on the project that we have to what to increase profit for the management or the shareholder. That is on economy. Effectiveness, that the best way we can use those resources to what to increase the output or to maximize profit for the what for the shareholders. That is value for money. So they also review the best way in which resources put in the business can be what can be utilized to increase what output and also increase profit for the what for the shareholder. But however, value for money can now be checked on these three things: the efficiency, economy, and effectiveness. It's also function of internal audit. Do you understand now? Faith, do you understand now?
Yes, sir, thank you.
All right. Okay. The last one, examination of financial and operational information. Internal auditor has the responsibility to carry out examination any area or unit in the organization. It also investigates how some items are treated, transaction balances, and procedure or issues of reported flow. That is, they also examine the financial statement and operational information in the on how the transaction are being treated, the transaction balances, and procedure or issues relating to what to fraud or error in the organization. This among the functions of internal audit. Like if you remember that the function that is it faith? Yes, faith. And that the function they said is not even part of this four that they listed, but these are the four major functions. So the other four that they listed can also be fitting here. So in your exam, if you remember six, please fire down, put it there. Please, everybody, are you listening? Can I proceed, please? Are we enjoying the class at all? All right. So, having said that, let us proceed. Then we are moving to another part. Now, factors to be considered in evaluating internal audit function. If you want to check the internal audit function, here, this one goes with the external auditor, that before we can evaluate internal audit function, that is, before we can evaluate their work, if it is in compliance with regulatory standard, and can we place reliance on those information supplied to us by the internal audit department, we have to consider the following functions. That is factor to be considered in evaluating internal audit function. One, quality of report produced. We need to check the quality of the report produced. Is the report genuine? Is it for internal use only? Did they have independence in producing this report or not? We need to check the quality of their report produced. Two, qualification and experience of internal audit staff. The people that the staff of internal audit departments, are they qualified? Did they have experience in producing any report? Did they have skills and ethical skills and competence to handle the job? So we also need to evaluate them in that area of qualification and experience. Degree of auditors independent. Are they independent appraiser themselves? Did they have independent their decision, their report? Uh, I hope they cannot compromise it. I hope they are independent in their own way. That is, whatever they do or whatever they find out can be reported without being fear of being biased and compromise their decision. We need to check their degree of what of their of independence before we can uh we can rely on the any information that will be given to us by that department. Is another way of evaluating their function. Four, resources available. The resources that they are on the aspect of value for money, are they actually working towards ensuring that the resources put to for organizations operational activities, how best are they securing the resources to maximize profit and also increase output for the organization. We also need to evaluate that and determine what the internal audit function. Then lastly, scope of work performed. Their work, the work performed, are they into compliance, or they ensure that financial statements are in the best position, financial information are in best position, or they manage and control the internal activities. So we also need to check their scope of work performed before we can evaluate their functions. This, among others, factors to be considered in evaluating internal audit function. Please, can I proceed, please? Do we understand? This is very, very simple and straightforward. Can, are we following the class? Yes. Can I proceed? Yes. Any question? No question. Are we okay? Yes. Are we tired? No. Okay. So let us go. Now, after understanding the meaning of internal audit, the functions of internal audit, and the factors to be considered in evaluating the internal audit function. Now, what is now the comparison, the difference between the internal audit and external audit? So, I am sure this is not the first time we are hearing this. We've been hearing this all along before now. So, the functions, the comparison, we can exert their comparison from the functions. So, but however, the difference between the internal and external audit can come in 5 ways. So, from the way we evaluate the internal audit function, we can also deduce our what? We can also deduce the differences between the internal audit and the external audit. So, one, the following are some differences between the internal audit and external audit. Number one, duties and responsibility. So, what is the duty and responsibility of internal auditor? What is the duty and responsibility of external auditor? So let us know. The duty of external auditor is to express an opinion on the annual financial system, while the internal auditor is to examine the control and risk assessment in order to make relevant recommendations to the management. Very simple and straightforward. It means that the internal audit, they express opinion on the financial statement, the financial information prepared by by the management of the organization. That is, the external auditor, they express opinion whether the account is of fair view, fairly presented, paid for material misstatement, and prepared in accordance with regulatory standard. They give opinion on the financial statement. While the internal auditor, they examine the control and risk assessment in order to make relevant recommendations to the management. So it means that before auditor can come to express an opinion, it is the internal auditor that they are in charge of making everything right by examining control. They also assess risk management level of the organization and recommend relevant solutions to the management. So when everything is now in order, everything is in a good way, then external auditor will now come and now audit the account and express opinion on the said financial statement. So external auditor is to express opinion on the financial statement, while internal auditor examine controls and risk assessment in order to make relevant recommendations to the what? To the management. Please, can I proceed, please? Yes. Qualification to act. Now, the external auditor must be qualified and professional accountant. It is a must. They have to be what? Qualified and professional accountant with practicing license for recognized body as set out by the what? By the statute. The statute means by the law. While the internal auditor requirement is determined by the management to select a competent person. It means that they might actually be qualified or not, but it is not compulsory that they must be qualified before they can uh, before they can act as what? As internal auditor. But in the case of external auditor, they have to be qualified and professional accountant with practicing license from a recognized what? Body as required by the what? By the statute. So that is qualification to act. Simply put, that external auditor must be qualified and must be a professional accountant with practicing license, while internal auditor might be qualified or not, which is determined by the management to select that particular person, or it is management that selects a particular person, either a qualified accountant or not. So that is qualification to act. Mode of appointment. Now, l- if you can remember in chapter 2, where we are talking about the regulations of audit and assurance engagement on that ethical requirement. So we talked about the relationship between the regulatory requirement and the external auditor. There we talk about the appointment of an external auditor. If you could remember, yes, I know, you remember, because I explained. Thank God I'm still alive. I can testify to you that I explained that chapter. So, mode of appointment. External auditor is appointed by the shareholder, while the internal auditor is appointed by the management of the organization. Very, very simple and straightforward. Duty allocation. The law specifies the duties of external auditor. Yes, it is the law that regulates the duties, the responsibility of external auditor, which is to what? To express an opinion on the financial statement. While management determines the duties of internal auditors. Yes, it is the management that sets the duties, what you are going to do in your own department as being an internal auditor. So that is that about the duties allocation reporting line. Who will external auditor report to? Who will internal auditor report to? That is just the meaning there. External auditor report to what? To the shareholders, while the internal auditor report to what? To the management of the entity. These are among other the difference between the internal audit and the external auditor. If you want to state more than 5, just go to that chapter 2 where we other legal requirements when we talk about the external auditor and the law. You know, we have about 7 there. Just add it to this. Termination of appointment of an auditor is here. Termination of an auditor. Resignation of an auditor. Responsibility, duties of an auditor. Duty of the management. You can put everything together to compare, to use them to compare between the internal auditor and external auditor. And before you know, you already have about 10 or 9 comparison or differences between the internal auditor and the external auditor. But this is most important among others, the difference between the internal auditor and the external auditor on the detailed responsibility, qualification of acts, mode of appointment, duties, allocation, and reporting line. Please, everybody, are you following, please? Any question? No question. Can I proceed? Yes. Are we okay? Yes. All right. After that, we are moving on. What is the next thing we need to talk about? The types of internal audits. What are the types of internal audits? The types of internal audits. We have majorly 3 types of internal audits: the financial audit, the operational audit and the compliance audit. And I'm sure this one, they are very, very simple. As you see them, financial audit, they deal with financial. Operational audit, they deal with operational activities. Compliance audit, they check and monitor to make sure that laws and regulations are being complied with within the organization. That is the sweetest and the shortest meaning for this story. Now, types of internal audits. Let us go. The internal audits can be divided into three major areas, and they are financial audit, operational audit, and compliance audit. So now, what is financial audit? This is an audit type where auditors gather evidence or information to support the management accounts or financial statements. This is the traditional role of internal auditor. It is a review of accounting record. The, the performance of this type of internal audit will help the auditor to measure the internal control, assess any likely risk business area, and help recommend improvement areas of the what of the control. What we are saying here is financial audit is that type of whereby it is majorly to what to gather evidence or information to support the management account or the financial statement. It is a way of by which auditors gather evidences in order to review the accounting record and performance of the what of the accounting system in an organization. They also measure the internal control and also assess any area of risk and also suggest or recommend solution on the best way to improve or manage the risk in an organization. That is financial audit. Okay, so that is that about financial audit. Please, do we understand financial audit, please? Financial audit. Can I proceed, please? Financial audit. Okay, so what is now operational audit? Let us go. Operational audit. Operational audit, this is type of audit majorly focused on evaluating the effectiveness of management control. Operational. That is when we are saying operational, you are checking the level of effectiveness of the management of the organization, how operations are put in place, how organizations are expected to strengthen control in the area of resources put together, how resources put together can be marginalized in the organization. It is under operational audit, which is sometimes operational activities. So this is operational audit. This is type of audit majorly focused on evaluating the effectiveness of management control. This is to enable recommendation on how to strengthen the controls to avoid any slack area. Here, internal audit may also conduct value for money audits. That's then one of the purpose of value for money audit should be checked to whether the most appropriate balance between the economy, efficiency, and effectiveness are being achieved. That is, the operational audits that are just centered on the operational activities of an organization, on how the resources put in the business are being what properly managed to achieve the organization's objective, on the economy of the resources, the efficiency of the resources, and the effectiveness of those resources put or injected in the business to achieve the organization's objective. So, operational audit as type of audit is as type of internal audit ensure is that type of audit that is put together to ensure that the organization activities are what are properly managed in the area of what resources put in the business on how it is properly what managed. That is on operational activities. Please, are we following, please? Can I proceed? Everybody, can I proceed, please? Okay. So What is compliance audit? Compliance audit. What is non-compliance audit? Compliance audit, this is a type of internal audit to check, monitor, and comply with significant laws and regulation. The internal audit monitor compliance with all relevant what area. Control of compliance over laws and regulation. It means a compliance audit is a type of internal audit that is established to check, monitor, and comply with what with significant laws and regulation. Simply put, that it is type of internal audit that is established to exert what compliance in the organization. That is the rules and regulations, the policy guide, the operational activities are being adhered to in the what in the organization. It means they now said control of compliance over laws and regulation. That is the exact compliance in the organization or the laws and regulation that is established by the management, and also to also control or to also abide with the rules and regulation governs the external activities or from the external forces of the what of the organization. That is that about the different types of internal audit. Please, can I proceed, please, everybody? I hope we are getting it. That is why normally by 6:30 I ought to have finished this class, but I'm just taking my time. So haven't you understand that what is now outsourcing? So I need 3 people to give me the meaning of outsourcing in your own understanding. What is outsourcing? Just 3. Just 3 people. Outsourcing. I am waiting, please. Okay, damn, first of all. Then Adeola second, then Eden, that's third. Deji, you can please put down your. Okay, let's have Deji making 4 like that. Let's have Deji making 4 like that. So, okay, Chuku, you can put down your hand, sir. So, Dan, please, you have the floor. What do you understand by outsourcing?
Okay, sir. Good evening, sir. In my
Good
own
evening, sir.
language, and sorry, in a layman language, you can say outsourcing is you getting more hands to get a job done.
Get more hands.
Yeah, you getting more
Why can't you
hands.
put
Okay, let me put it in a more personal way.
externally?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So outsourcing is
Externally.
okay.
Okay, see, externally to undo core operational activities of an organization other than the core staff, core staff in the sense that instead of the core staff of the organization, I'm just trying to shaping your definition. Instead of the core staff of organization to undo the operational activities, and probably they are not much, you can also contract the external and or third party. Sometimes they are naturally third party, and this thing is very very common in financial institution like bank. GT Bank as a case study because I've worked there before. I know what it takes. So outsourcing, we can use that one as an example. But so using the third party or contracting and to handle core operational activities of an organization, you can simply put it is an outsourcing. Damn, do you understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All
Thank
right.
you, sir.
Thank you. All right. So, Adela, is it Clue or Adeola or CLO Adeola? I don't know how to call you.
Yeah. Yeah. Good evening. Yeah. Outsourcing
Good evening,
means
sir.
when
We are not hearing you. We are not hearing you again. No.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can't hear you. Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, outsourcing is when you outsource an internal job to an external party or external third party or an entity to attain the organizational goals.
Yes, it can go like that. Yes, perfect. That's embracing. Yes, you have. Yes, thank you. Yes, okay then.
Good evening, sir.
Good
To my
evening, ma.
own understanding,
Okay.
outsourcing means when a company arranges for an external entity to perform a task that could have been otherwise performed by the company own staff, but they have to outsource a professional hand to perform that particular
Yeah,
task.
that one can also go. Yes, perfect. Okay, Chuku, you are the last. Okay, Deji. Yes, Deji. It's Deji.
Okay, good evening, sir. I
Good
think
evening.
everybody has basically said almost the same thing, but I would say
Say you say okay.
outsourcing is like acquiring an external service provider to do a particular job for you, maybe because you are short-handed in or you lack experience. So outsourcing is just getting an external service provider to do a particular job for you or a task.
Perfect. 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 Yes. I'm happy with your definition. Very, very elusive and embracing. Yes. You know, for Adela, I only said it is embracing, but your own and I add elusive and embracing to it. It means okay, popo. I don't know if you understand Yoruba. It is okay. So yes, everybody will try. Yes, it is not other than that. That is why I want to ask us first because I want us to be able to like generate this thing from our own without even displaying it on the screen first. That what is outsourcing? Because it's far from that word outsource outside to get something outside instead of using my internal material that I have. Let me get it outside or people outside that can do it for me. Or maybe because of the many reasons that people venture into outsourcing. It probably because of experience or to cut costs, to reduce costs, or they say, or they might probably think that it is maybe these people they are technically exposed and they can do the job, or maybe because of lack of much staff. Let us hire some contract staff outside to help us do the job. So bank they say contract staff, we are still comedian. So that is outsourcing. No more, no less. Thank you everybody for your contribution. So let's put down our hands, please, and let us proceed. Outsourcing. Arrange very sweet and clean. Deji, you can put down your hand, please. All right. So let us go. What is outsourcing? Outsourcing, this means arranging for an external entity to perform a task that would have otherwise be performed by the company or staff. An organization may outsource all its staff responsibility or function, while some other may outsource parts or retain other of its core staff. Where auditor is to use the information of an outsourced responsibility, you will have to verify that the work is properly what carried out. For example of work that may be outsourced are payroll operations, can outsource for the payroll consultant, internal auditing, yes, IT services, financial and management accounting activities, or maybe you outsource an accountant outside. Those people doing consultancy services in to provide financial activities to the organization. It's also an outsource. Tax compliance, it's an outsource. What that can be outsourced consultancy. That's what I just said. Due diligence procedure for mergers and acquisition, non-financial services and staff recruitment. That is outsourcing. Please, I hope by now we all understand in a layman meaning the meaning of outsourcing. Now, let me now use GT Bank as an example so that we understand. You say I work with it. Does anyone work with GT Bank here? Either full staff or contract staff? Is there anyone? Okay, I guess no. So, like for example, I was once a contract staff for GT Bank before, and I worked there for like 5 years before I resigned. So, outsourcing, the firm that GT Bank give work to for external workers, there are two. We have VLA and ICSL. Yes. So the recruit staff, they call them contract staff. They are the major people you see on the counter when you approach GT Bank. They are outsourcing staff. They are not full staff of the organization. So that I'm just saying that I'm not saying to ridicule them. I'm just saying because they are outsourced staff to help the service functions of that particular bank to what to be moving faster. Just imagine, and their full staff is limited to the number of their contract staff. Contract staff, they are times 3 of their full staff. So because probably they don't have that technical ability or they want to save costs, because of course the full staff they are well paid than the contract staff, and in terms of bonuses and profit sharing, contract staff will not benefit inside. That's crazy. But why other banks they do that? They share their profit sharing and their bonuses to also their contract staff. Example like UB that I know of. I'm sure most of us work with UB here. So, but it's not nothing like I'm not saying it to ridicule them because I've been there before, so I can say it categorically. Of course, I'm not there again. Then, so the major reasons is to help the operational activities, of the bank. The aspect of attending to customer, the number of full staff they have cannot do that job. So that is why they need to outsource for staff outside that we can help them to handle the job. So the salary of those contract staff will be paid by the recruiting firm. So GT Bank will pay to the recruiting firm directly. So it is that recruiting firm that will now pay our salary. So I'm just saying this for us to understand what the meaning of outsourcing and the reason why some organizations actually venture into outsourcing of staff outside rather than use their core operational staff to handle the particular job. Please, can I proceed, please? So, after understanding the outsourcing, who can tell me simple the advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing? Just two people. You give me one advantage, one disadvantage. So, okay, Chuku first, and Eden. Okay.
What?
All right, please, you have the floor.
Okay, one of the reasons for outsourcing is to meet up with the target.
The advantages. The advantages.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay, in what way, sir?
Assuming now, like, let me say sales, maybe in sales department,
Okay.
they demanded that they meet up maybe 30 units in 1 month. So using the staff within, they maybe because of the number of the staff within, they can't meet up with the target. They will now outsource ad hoc staff that will help them in marketing in order to meet up with the sales target for the month. Thank you.
Correct. Yes. Oh, okay. What about the disadvantage? One of the disadvantage.
For me, one of the disadvantage is, will I say, money or financial aspect of it is it consumes finance.
It is cost effective, Abi. It is costly, Abi, to maintain,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Mr.
Thank
Okay. Yes, thank you. Okay, Eden, please. You can put down
One,
your answer, Mr. Okita.
one of the advantages is the management focus on other core activities when they involve the services of outsourcing.
Yes, yes, that's valid point. Well, what about the disadvantage? What can you say about disadvantage?
Disadvantages is that since they are outsourcing, this is an external people to the company. They may steal information. That is, information may be lost due to the competitors because of the outsourcing process.
Uh, yes, yes. I think I wanted to say, I wanted to promise like, either do you have the material, the summarized note? Do you prepare again?
Yes, I have. I have.
You have.
We are not with.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
No worries. Okay. I wanted to give you for free before if you not have, because you're actually you're not saying it straight the way I want it, but I think I get it. In the please mute your mic now. Put down your hand. Say, you see, this is the person that made me to log this class. Okay. So I think we are talking about aspect of confidentiality is one of the disadvantages because, like, let me use GTBank for example now. Because I'm a contract staff, I have the technique, I have what it takes to be converted to full staff. Yes, they have the certificates and the chartered accountants, and you see that most of those banks that they used to convert from contract staff to full staff, maybe some can say because you have HND before this one, that one. You see, and so over the time, you see that those people that they hire with contract staff, they actually get more certification than the people that they hire as full staff. Because you'll be thinking that, I'm a contract staff, maybe because some might even have BSc, but they don't have opportunity to enter through that full staff this thing. They now applied for the associate firm, and they gave them the appointment, the job. So they now say that to come back to full staff, I have to have BSc. For example, someone that does not have BSc before, or I need to do my ICANN, or I need to do my MBA or MSc. You see that those people, they within 2 years, they will have gathered certificate that those full staff say, because once they just hire you as full staff, you just relax that no other this thing, let me just be here. But those people with contract staff, the contract staff, you know that if they have another certificate, they will convert us to full staff. Now they will now begin to rush, gather another certification. So one of the disadvantages, so for me not to cut short, the aspect of confidentiality for some people that are just naturally mean because they've tried all their possible, they've had got the certification and everything, and they did not convert them. They might actually link some of the vital information to their what to their competitor, just like what he then said. They will, and the confidentiality cannot be what cannot be assured. So meaning that there are some important information that need to be kept within the organization. They will escalate it outside. That's one of the advantages of hiring or using outsourced firm or contract staff in your organization. But by and large, those are the advantages and disadvantages of what of uh, outsourcing. So let us see the advantages and disadvantages quickly. We need to move fast. There's no time again. Now, one of the advantages, the following are some of the variable reasons why some organizations outsource. One, cost efficient. Outsourcing may be cheaper to maintain than running those responsibilities with in-house what staff. The other employee benefit may be what may be saved. That's what I just said in the aspect of bonus and what bonus and profit sharing. Let's use GT Bank as a case study. Profit sharing, contract staff will not get. But in the asset of their full staff, profit sharing and the bonus will be shared among them. They said it is cost efficient. That is, it may be cheaper to maintain than running those responsibilities with an in-house staff. The other employee benefits may be what? May be saved. The other one, specialized skills. An external service provider may have skills and expertise in doing a particular task. The entity may not be as skillful as required to carry out such staff. Yeah, that is specialized skills. That's one of the advantages. Three, current technology and techniques. External agency may have most of the up-to-date what state of art techniques and technology to execute a particular task that the organization may not what have. That's one of the advantages. The current technology and what and techniques. 4. Focusing on core competence, just like what uh, is it Okechukwu or yes Okechukwu? What I saw like what he said. He said focus on core competence that is by sorting out for some areas of the entity, the organization may have time to focus on its core competence and fully utilize for its what for its gain. That's one of the advantages of outsourcing. 4. 5. Risk management. By outsourcing, the company may reduce the risk of inadequate employee performance. The risk of lawsuits against company may also be what be reduced because if the organization is not technically skilled and specialized, they might all your staff might tend to be doing something else that might result in lawsuit or uh, uh, that might result into lawsuits or even getting the organization to pay some fine. But uh, if you hire an experienced and skillful uh, staff outside, it will reduce the risk of inadequate employee performance and also reduce the lawsuits filed against what the organization. These are among others the advantages of outsourcing. You can say more than these 5. It is your understanding of the subject matter. Like you on your own. That's why I ask us. You can see that everything that these people have said cannot even be found here. So joining down with this 5, making 7, you can even bring 10, depend on your understanding. So we need to in advanced audit and assurance class, you need your brain to be functioning very well and to be well open so that you can accommodate more ideas and you can translate that ideas into what into writing. And before you know, just get 50 and just go. Just 50. Leave them with their own best students in this thing. Just get that 50 and go. Almighty God help us. I wish everybody the best of it. Yes, so I know they fight for this thing. I've graduated for many years. I will leave best student for the new people that are just because yes, now when you go enter that induction, this thing, those people that they will be giving best student this thing, they are actually in school, maybe in their 400 level or they just finished school this year and they also qualify or they've been doing icons since when they are in school. As they finish school like this, they finish icon. That you see there, all those tiny girls, small boys. Yes, but me that finish school since this thing, that I have family now. Girlfriend will eat, wife will eat, everybody will eat. You now be thinking of getting 100. Give me 50 and let me go. I wish everybody, but child, I don't know. Maybe, yes, the only course that I have 50 during my time was PM. I hate it. I don't know. God just help me. I had 51 PM and 51 in my SFM that year. But the rest, no, now. So that is that. So let us just, the reason why I'm saying that, like, where I don't want to deviate, that our brain need to be working very well and our brain need to open whenever we are writing audit and assurance. Benedicta, what's the issue? Do you have any question?
Good evening, sir. No, I want to ask a question. Sir, please, how much is your soft copy for your audit?
You don't ask me here now. This is general class. You have my number, please. All right. Please let us go. Don't mind Benedicta. She's not supposed to even ask me here. So these people that I hope there's no question. We still have a long way to go. Oh yeah, disadvantages of outsourcing. Let's go quickly. Let's go quickly. One of the disadvantages. There are also some disadvantages with outsourcing. One, risk of service provider failing to do all they are asked to do. So they might just say that, well, if they are what let me do what I can do and leave. These things common to be tired of something easily.
Sir, we can't really hear you. Can anyone hear him?
I can't hear him.
I hope our guy is not online now, Abby.
Maybe it's network. Let's give him some time.
No, I'm on. Can you hear me now? I'm still with on the call. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you now.
I'm on the call. I never leave the call from the beginning. So, okay. So, but you can hear me now, right?
Go on. Yes.
Okay. So, these are one of the disadvantages. I said number one, the risk of service provider failing to do all they ask to do is one of the disadvantages. So, humble, please mute your mic, please. Then number two, ability of the service provider to deliver as at when needed is one of the disadvantages. And lastly, appropriate fee negotiation problem. In the aspect of what is it Okechukwu or so, I don't know, that it is one of the disadvantages that we said that time, that it is always costly. That is the one of the advantages for you to agree with the amounts to be charged from the outsourcing firm is always one of the advantages, because they always used to charge big. So this among others, the disadvantages of what of outsourcing. You can also put that the risk uh, of dishing out the vital information of the organization to their competitor is one of the disadvantages. So happy to understand the normal advantages and disadvantages of what of outsourcing. Now let us go to outsourcing of internal audits. Can we outsource for internal audits? Yes. If yes, what are the conditions? What are the things we need to put in place whenever we want to uh, outsource for what for internal audit function? So let us go. This is a situation where an entity outsources the work of internal audit of its firm. Some factors that may be considered when outsourcing an internal audit function may include the following. That is, can we outsource for internal audit? Yes. But before we can outsource for internal audit, what are the things we need to put in place? Maybe some factors that we need to consider when outsourcing an internal audit function are, among others. Number one, the outsourced accounting staff must have greater level of independence than the entity own internal audit staff. That is, they must be independent on their own. They must do their work without being compromised, without being biased. They must be truthful and straightforward. They must possess of a professional competence and due care. So, among other, the outsourced accounting staff must have greater level of independence. That has to do with the aspect of what of integrity. Objectivity rather. They must have greater level of independence than the entity or internal audit staff. The external audits must be totally independent from the executive management. It means that when they outsource internal audit function, then the internal audit staff become external to them. I'm not sure if you understand what I'm saying. If an organization outsource for the job of internal audit function, then that internal auditor that they want to outsource for become their external auditor. So then the external auditor, they are not telling them that before an external auditor can accept the job of internal auditor, then your level of independence must be greater than the internal staff of the organization. True, the accounting firm or the external auditor, as the case may be more highly trained specialists. You have to consider it must be highly trained specialists. Then accounting firm must have a greater number of employees available for any urgent internal audit work. This thing now boils down to external auditor, that before you can accept to be an internal audit, to do an internal audit function, be an external body to an organization, the following consideration must be put in place. You must have greater level of independence. Two, you must have highly trained specialists. Three, you must have very large number of employees available for any urgent work or any urgent assignment. That is number three. Number four, the external audit firm may be more guided by professional code of conduct and behavior than the internal audit staff. Number five, the accounting firm may be sued for breach of contract and negligence. You should also consider that in the case of any foul play, if you are not doing what you're supposed to do as an external outsourced staff, then you are liable to be sued for contract and negligence of what of duty. So this among others, what you need to consider being an external audit or external audit function that is hired as internal to do internal audit work. You are an external body, but they hire you, they outsource you to come and do internal audit work. What are the things you need to consider? These are the things we just mentioned now. Please, are we following? Do we understand, please, everybody? Can I proceed, please? Correct. Let us go. We should be able to finish this class by 7 o'clock. So what are the disadvantages? Now, the disadvantages of all these things. If they hire you if they hire external audit function, internal audit function. So we have explained the factor to be considered. So what are now the disadvantages of hiring an internal audit function? Number one, professional firm are not under control of the entity. That is, the entity cannot control you. And what is the essence that if they cannot control you, why are they hiring you? That is, if they can hire you, they should be able to control you. But if your level of objectivity, your level of independence is not higher, then you might not likely take up the job because you need to be independent before you can do your job very well. So it becomes disadvantages to the organization that want to source for you. Then two, internal audit work fee may be high. Yes, in terms of fee negotiation, it is always expensive, which is all these disadvantages. There are the disadvantages to the firm, to the organization that will need the work of external the work of internal audit function that is they want to outsource for an internal audit function in their department, in their organization. So all these things because they are disadvantages, because one of the factors to be considered that the external person that they want to outsource must be independent. And now it's now becomes the advantage to them because they cannot control you. It means if you can't control you, why do we hire you? So it becomes the disadvantage to the organization that want to outsource for internal audit function. I hope you understand where this disadvantages comes from. Everybody, do we understand, please? Hello, do we understand? All right. So let us.
Yes, sir.
All right. So then number three, professional firm may lack the detailed knowledge of the entity when compared to an internal auditor. That is, they might lack detail, they might not know much about the organization. So they lack that detail of knowledge to perform their job as regards to that organizational activities. Is one of the advantages to the organization. Four, there may be threat to independence where the external auditor firm may act as both internal and external auditor. That is in the case whereby the firm is also the external auditor to audit the financial statement, and they also give them assess them as internal audit function. So it might become threat to professional independence where the firm acts as both internal auditor and external auditor. So these are the disadvantages of outsourcing for internal audit function among others. So what are the other as outsourcing for other accounting function. What are the other things you can outsource for? The firm may decide to outsource its other accounting function other than internal audit. This function may include payroll, investor management, asset management, and others. So, to outsource other accounting functions other than internal functions, what are the factors that need to be considered before accepting to before accepting to be the outsourced staff for that particular organization? This is what we are saying. They said, apart from outsourcing as internal audit, can they outsource for another accounting function? They said yes. What are those functions that they can also outsource for? They are also into payroll, investment management, asset management, and others. But before you cannot accept to be outsourced as other accounting function, maybe you are the auditor and they want to outsource you to do another accounting function other than internal audit. What are the things you need to put together, or what are the things the firm need to put together before accepting that appointment to be outsourced for other accounting function? I hope you understand the way I put it so that you will not get me wrong. Do you understand? Hello? Nobody is responding to me again.
We
Just
understand,
respond with
sir.
your emoji. And nobody is responding now. It's as if I'm talking to myself. So I need to understand that. What are the factors? Number one, record. Favor, please mute your mic. Please mute your mic. Okay. So what are the factors to be considered? Number one, record accessibility. It means that before you can accept being an outsourced staff for other accounting function, your record accessibility is number one. That is, the every time should discuss with his client on how to get all relevant information to discharge its responsibility. That is, he must have access to all relevant documents and information available for the job. That is number one factor. Two, materiality. That is, the auditor will determine the responsibility engagement if the material item and how the auditor intends to obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence. That is, the auditor will also consider the materiality. That is, this is the appropriate procedure I'll put in place to gather my evidence. It is the auditor that will also consider that, and it's one of the factors to be considered by the audit firm or the auditor before accepting an engagement to be outsourced for other accounting function. Number three, compliance. Where the auditor takes up an outsource responsibility with regulatory requirements, the auditor will need to consider on how to gather evidence about what the compliance. That is, where the organization have to comply with organization standard and rules and regulation that guide what the engagement as the case may be. The auditor will need to consider on how to gather evidences about the compliance or on how to comply with the regulatory requirement that governs either the engagement that you want to do or the organization that you want to do their engagement for them. That's all about the compliance. Number four, transfer of information. That is, the auditor will also may also have to consider the way of getting information, how often the information will be transferred, and consider if the method is reliable. That is, the audit firm also need to consider the way of getting information for its what in order for him to make decision or opinion on the said on any engagement he or she is engaged to do, and also to consider whether the source of that information is reliable and the way they transfer the information, whether it is reliable in order not to cause any issue of confidentiality threats, and also to make sure that whether the process is reliable in order for them to use it for economic decision. These are among factors that need to be considered by the audit firm when you want to accept the engagement of being outsourced for other accounting function. And we said we need to consider record accessibility, how we can get access to the record, materiality, how we can set our procedure to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, for how we can. We also need to consider the way we are going to comply with regulatory laws and relevant law that governs both the engagement and the organization we want to audit. Then lastly, transfer of information, that we need to also consider how we can, how the information, the process of getting the information, the way where the process, how the information is being transferred, whether it is realistic and reliable. These are the factors to be considered by the accounting firm before accepting any engagement on the operational activities. So now, so this is one of the last parts. All this consideration relating to entity using service organization. Don't forget, in our content, we talk about ISA 402. And ISA 402 talks about audit consideration relating to entity using service organization. That is, what is the audit consideration? Where the organization is using what service provider as their one of their as service provider in the organization. I mean, the audit consideration where the organization outsource staff outside, outside. That is, the work is not performed or is not done by their in-house what staff. It is done by what by an outsourced staff. So, what is the audit consideration on that? That is on ISA 402. That is audit consideration relating to entity using service organization. So, it is now to when the auditor provides an outsource responsibility for its clients, ISA 402 provide guidelines on how auditor is expected to do. Let me understand. Let me explain very well. That is where the auditor provide an outsource responsibility for its clients. ISA 402. Now that is here the organization uh, uh, the organization outsource staff for that particular engagement, and it is the auditor that engage in that particular engagement is an outsource staff. So what does ISA 402 say? ISA 402 says that when the auditor provide an outsource responsibility for its client, then it must provide the following guidance. That is, the auditor is expected to do the following. One, you have to obtain an understanding of service. So how do you obtain an understanding of service? If you will remember, under chapter 6, when we want to choose any audit approach to be used under chapter 6, the first thing that we need to consider is we need to understand the operational activities, or we need to understand the environment of that particular organization and their line of operation before we can decide on the audit approach to use. Still the same thing here, that obtaining an understanding of service. That is, in obtaining an understanding of services being provided, the auditor must apply ISA 315. That is, the auditor is understand to under. So ISA 315 is to understand what the client entity and the business. That is ISA 315. Let me make you understand this thing very well. What is ISA 402? ISA 402 is audit consideration relating to entity using service organization. That is, ISA 402 talks about what is the audit consideration relating to any organization that is using service provider. So, as an auditor, and you are engaged, you are that outsourced staff that the organization use. So, what are the things you are expected to do? First of all, you need to be in compliance with ISA 315. And what does ISA 315 say? Obtaining an understanding of service. Understanding of service on ISA 315 says that before you can continue the engagement, or before you know what to do on the engagement, you need to understand how that client service, how that clients operate, or the environmental uh, requirements that regulate or guide what the business you want to, or the organization you want to what you want to audit. That is what ISO 315 is saying, that you need to understand the business of that particular client before you can know what to do. That is ISO 315. Then I said, obtaining an understanding of service. Please, I hope you understand before I start reading. Do you understand? That is why I make it simple. Okay. So if you are that outsource firm that the organization has contracts to do the job for them, what are the things you need to do? Number one, you need to obtain an understanding of service. So in obtaining an understanding of the service being provided, the auditor must comply with ISO 315. And what does ISO 315 says? One, understand how his client use the service provided. And two, evaluate the control. Evaluate the control of its clients that relates to the service being provided. You need to understand how the organization, how the clients use the service provided to them. And you also need to evaluate the control of the clients related to service provided. Let me pieces this thing so that we understand. Understand how the client use the service provided. That is, how the client use the information or the opinion you give them on the said financial statement or the said information you process. The information, the service you render to them, how did they use the service? Did they use it for internal use or the external use? Did they use it for economic decision? Did they use it to buy shares? You need to understand how the client will use the service you provide for them. That's number one. Then you also need to evaluate the control of that service. Evaluate the client control. Does the client have control on this service you provide to them? Do they have control on it? Can they be relied on that? If I should give you that particular, if I should render this service to you, do you have control over it, or did you just leave it to outside people to just make use of it anyhow they like? So you need to understand these two things when you are the one that they when they outsource you to provide that service to them. Number one, you need to understand how the client use the service you provided to them. And two, you need to evaluate the control of that service of that client in relation to the service you provided to them. That is where a staff is where an auditor is outsourced to perform any activities in accordance with what ISA 402. And if it is in that way, then you must also comply with ISA 315, which is to understand what the client use of that information you provide to them, and you also need to evaluate the control of that client in relation to the service provided to them. That is where you are the outsourced staff as an auditor. So that is that. Then again, the other aspect, where practitioner is unable to obtain sufficient understanding on the client. You know, the number one says that you need to understand how the client uses the service you provide to them. But where you're unable to obtain that sufficient understanding, what are the things you need to do? First of all, you obtain type 1 or type 2 reports. We are still coming to type 1 and type 2 report. First of all, you need to obtain type 1 or type 2 report. Two, contact the service organization to obtain specific information. That is, this aspect, it is when you're unable to obtain sufficient understanding on the use of service you provided to them. That is, you need to know the service I'm providing to you, what are you using it for? That is the first one. But when you're unable to obtain sufficient understanding on that client, on how they use the service provided to them, you need to obtain type 1 or type 2 report, one, or you contact the service organization to obtain specific information. Three, you visit the service organization or perform appropriate procedure. That is, you use another appropriate procedure in order for you to understand how the client use the service provided to them. And four, use another auditor to perform such procedure. That is, you are indeed another auditor. Please come and help me to perform this procedure. I want to see how this organization use the service provided to them for their what? For their economic uses. So the first one, it is when you are the auditor that was contacted to be outsourced for particular engagement. What does ISA 402 say? ISA 402 says audit consideration. What are the audit consideration in relating to entity using service organization? So if you are that auditor that is engaged for that particular operation, then you must be in compliance with ISA 315. And what does it say? One, understand how the client use the service provided, and two, evaluate the control of its client that relate to service provided. So, in a situation whereby this first one, which is when you are unable to obtain sufficient understanding on the client use of the service provided, you need to do the following. One, obtain type 1 or type 2 reports. Two, contact the service organization to obtain what? To obtain more information. Three, visit the service organization and perform appropriate procedure. And four, use another auditor to perform the procedure. So, what is now type 1 or type 2 report? That is where we are going to. Please, everybody, I hope we are following. That is why I'm taking my time to explain all these things. Please, are we following? Now, so what is now type 1 or type 2 report? Let's see type 1 report. The type 1 report comprises a description of service organizational system, control objective as at specified date, and reasonable assurance report on description and the sustainability of control to achieve the objective. Type 1 report. It is that report that comprises the description of the service organization system. That is the organization that provides the service. Type 1 report, it is that report that will show the description of the service they will render, the control objective as at specific date, and reasonable assurance report on the description and sustainability of control to achieve such objective. Type 1 report is that report that compares the description of the service you render, the control you put in place to affirm at a specific date to achieve that control objective. That is type 1 report. Type 1 report will show the description of the service to render, the control objective as a specified date, and also reasonable assurance report on the description and the sustainability of control to achieve the objective. So just put it in your head that type 1 report is that report that shows the description of service organization system and the control objective that they put in place to achieve that certain objective. That's type 1 report. While type 2 report is more detailed report covering the theoretical control. That is, it is compares all the whole aspects. It compares the description of the service, the control to put in place, the service of practice to achieve targeted objective. What they are saying is that type 1 is just on the description and the control objective to achieve that particular description. While type 2 is more detailed reports that cover the theoretical controls, both the description, the types, the control to achieve that specific objective. They are telling you that type 1 is just only it has limits to only the description and how to achieve that specific description for the objective. How to gather reasonable assurance on that. How do I put this thing? I want you guys to understand this thing very well. Type 1 report comprises only the description of service and the control they put in place to achieve that control. The control they put in place to achieve that description of control on the objective, on any objective they must have contacted them for on any outsourced job. What we are saying here is that the type 1 report will cover the description of service and the control objective to achieve that particular objective. That is type 1 report. What type 2 report or type 2 report yet? It is that report, it is more detailed report that covers the theoretical control. Theoretical control here means the activities, the description itself, the control to put in place, and the method on how the control is going to look like to achieve stated objective. That is what type 2 report is all about. Please, do we understand the difference between type 1 report now and type 2 report? Everybody, do we understand? Hello, nobody is responding to me. Do we
Yes, sir.
understand?
Please
Yes,
repeat
sir.
type 2 report, sir.
The,
Type 2 report, sir.
the type 2 report is more detailed, while the type 1 report, it just talks on the surface of the discussion, sir.
Yes. Yes, very, very simple. Type 1 report, it comprises the description of service. It will show you the description of service that you want to render, the description of service, and the control you put in place to achieve that particular service objective that you want to render. That is type 1 report. But type 2 report, it is more detailed report that covers the theoretical what controls it. They cover both the description, the control to achieve the objective, the core component of the services to achieve the objective, all other areas. That is what type 2 report will cover. Let's say type 1 reports only cover two aspects, the description of service and the control objective, while type 2 cover about four or all the whole report. It covers the description, the control objective, the practice objective, and the all other aspects in order to achieve that stated objective. So type 1 report. Don't forget, when you can issue this report, it is when you are unable to obtain sufficient understanding on the service provided. That is when you can prepare type 1 report or type 2 report, or you contact the organization for more information, or you can hire another auditor to do the procedure for you. All these things is when you're unable to get the understanding on the service provided by the organization. What am I? Okay, provided by the organization. So, okay, let me quickly scroll down to it, because I want us to understand the concept. That is, where the practitioner is unable to obtain sufficient understanding from the client, then you can obtain type 1 or type 2 report, contact the service organization to obtain specific information, visit the service organization and perform appropriate procedure, and use another auditor to perform the procedure. So what is now type 1 report? Type 1 report, it is a report that comprises the description of service organization system and control objective as at specified date to achieve that particular control of objective. What type 2 report is more detailed report that covers the theoretical control in place and if control in practice have been achieve their objectives. So that is type 1 report and type 2 report. That is type 1 report and type 2 report. Then responding to access risk of material misstatement. Now, if there's any material misstatement, how do the auditor respond to it? Then the auditor is required to do the following. One, determine whether sufficient and appropriate audit evidence is available from record held at the client office, and if not, perform further procedure to obtain evidence or use another auditor to perform such procedure on your behalf. So, where there is any material misstatement and the auditor want to make sure that, this the risk of the auditor already know the risk that is going to come in the aspect of material misstatement. So when there is any material misstatement, what can the auditor do? One, the auditor will determine whether sufficient appropriate audit evidence is available from record held at client office. Then, if not, Then the auditor will perform the audit procedure by obtaining such evidence or use another auditor to perform those procedures. That is, when the auditor is unable to gather sufficient and appropriate evidence from the client office, you can engage another auditor to do the job for you, or you look for or you prepare another further audit procedure to obtain such evidence. This are what we also need to discuss about the internal audit and outsourcing, the condition that we warrant an organization to seek the service of an outsourcing firm, and that can organization source for an outsourcing firm? Yes. And we have discussed the procedure that need to be considered or the factor that need to be considered. Then where the organization is also engage the service provider. So what does the ISA 402 says, which is audit consideration relating to service providing organization. And before you can do that, you as an auditor, you have to comply with ISA 315. And the ISA 315 states that you need to understand the client use of the services. And when you're unable to gather substantial evidence on how the organization use the service provided to them, then you need to produce either type 1 or type 2 report. You need to do another test as the case may be, as we explain to ourselves in this chapter. Then we also need to also talk about the responding to assess risk of material mistake. Now, what are the things we need to do? These are among others what we and this will rather bring us to the end of chapter 13. So by God's grace, we just have 3 more chapters to go: 14, 15, and 16. So the chapter 14, which is the out of our paper, will be dealt with next week, Wednesday and Friday, while the other chapter will finish it upper week. So this is where we are going to stop for today. Thank you everybody for staying through. And like someone that is asking me about the material, or anybody that need the material, please reach out to me in my DM. So thank you everybody. This is where we are going to stop for today. Thank you everybody. Enjoy your weekend and see you next week. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Good night.
Thank you,
God
sir.
bless.
Good night, sir. Good night. Good night, everybody.
Hello, sir.